Folks, let me tell you about my good friend Todd Nettleton from the Voice of the Martyrs. For over 2 decades, Todd has risked his life to bring attention to the persecution of Christians around the world. Now he's written a powerful book called Faith is Forbidden, detailing his travels and experiences. As a special gift to my listeners, you can get a free copy of this incredible book by simply clicking the link in the description below or call 844-464-3043. We are seeing in real time the emergence of a different type of presidency. There's ways to describe the Trump presidency that are conventional. Oh, he's a disruptor, he's different, he's taking on all these different projects. What have I told you, though? One of the reasons why he is succeeding is that he is an anti-abstraction president. President Trump always feels like the luckiest man in the world. How many times have you heard that? Now, on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, turning his head to the right at that specific moment, hard to disagree. Even 6 years ago, people were making memes about how often the press said, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump. And since then, the walls have been closing a lot more. But how many times has it looked all over for Trump? Whether his business empire being taken away from him, the January 6th hit job, literally being shot on July 13th, the guy has dodged a bullet multiple times. He survived indictments in New York, in Georgia, in Florida, in D.C. Remarkable fortitude, the likes of which that we have not seen in American politics. The Russiagate conspiracy that tried to destroy him, he beat that too. He overcome all of that. And just today, breaking out of New York, he survived Letitia James's attempt to bankrupt him with one of the flimsiest fraud cases in memory. Today, a New York appeals court has thrown out a $465 million verdict in that case. $465 million verdict. To give you a reminder of how bad that case was, most of the time, accusing somebody of fraud requires you that somebody be defrauded. But New York decided, nope, not needed. Even though all of Trump's lenders came out and said, yes, he's paid on time, he's a great client, they accused him of fraud for inflating the value of his assets. And by the way, if you go to Mar-a-Lago, they said, Mar-a-Lago is worth $15 million. Mar-a-Lago is probably worth $900 million, minimum. It was so bad that after it happened, Wall Street panicked. They said, wait, how can we keep affording to keep operating in New York if they do this? I remember I met somebody in Scottsdale from New York, built a huge financial business. He said, Charlie, I sold all my stuff in New York after Trump had that guilty verdict, and I moved to Scottsdale because I was afraid that if they could go after Trump this way, these Soviet Union-style tactics will soon come after me. It was a political hit job from start to finish, and now it's failed. Now, this actually gets back to one of Donald Trump's greatest strengths, and I want to really zero in on this. Think about how many people hate Trump. Think about how badly they've wanted to destroy him and for so long, and how far they're willing to do it. And yet nothing they've done has ever been able to stick. Why? Because President Trump, in the best possible way, is a simple person. He follows the basic rules he's followed all life. Just like he doesn't drink or smoke, Trump doesn't break any laws. Why would he do that? That's how they take you out. Trump is aggressive. He understands where the rules are, and he goes right up to the maximum place in the betterment for America, as any businessman would, by the way. If it's something like politics or media, he breaks all the rules, but he doesn't actually ever break the law, and that is very important. He's a simple guy like that. And in a city of actual criminals, that short circuits people's brains. He's surrounded by actual criminals, and he does not break the law. Joining us now is a great friend, Alex Marlow, author of Breaking the Law. President Trump says it's a must-read. Alex, welcome to the program. We love to have you on at least once a week. Everyone should purchase the book, Breaking the Law. You have this great book, Breaking the Law. Remind everyone about this book. It's very important, Breaking the Law. And we just got the news today that President Donald Trump does not owe the city of New York, or the state of New York, $465 million, an outrageous amount. The appeals court used the exact argument that I think that you make in Breaking the Law. Please take some time here, Alex. It's very important. Alex Marlow, author of Breaking the Law.
Thank you, Charlie. And by the way, the book made all the major bestseller lists, including the New York Times, which is really hard to do. And your support and your audience's support is clearly a part of that. So thank you personally for that. Charlie, another dub for you, Charlie, as well. And the exact argument I make about this particular case is that was a cruel and unusual punishment. It also reveals the politicization of the New York Attorney General's office, which is a clear violation of due process clauses that you find in the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. But this is an Eighth Amendment violation. You cannot have a victimless crime where Trump did not owe anyone one penny and you assess him a $460 million fine that is accumulating interest. Now he would owe over $515 million. Tish James still has $175 million of his dollars up on bond right now. I imagine that's going to get transferred back sometime soon. But I specifically said Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. That's exactly the argument that was put forth by this appeals court today, why they're throwing this thing out. So it's very sweet, and it shows you that Trump's attorneys are also on point here. Whoever was handling the appeals, I think, brought the exact right argument. And this bodes well. There will be more appeals. There will be more things overturned. There'll be more investigations. Tish James is under investigation now. And the one part about my book, which is very key that people will enjoy, is that it is a playbook. It is a primer. So you will be able to follow along as things get thrown out, as new indictments take place, as new investigations take place. Some of the stuff got very complicated. I think I've sorted it out in a very clean way. So you'll be able to follow along with the news as we keep winning on behalf of President Trump with these cases.
Yeah, and so what has surprised you the most? You've written this book, Breaking the Law. You understand the whole lawfare. What, since writing the book, publishing the book, theorizing about this very important argument, what has surprised you the most in the kind of genre of lawfare now that we're in August of 2025?
So let me answer it two ways. What surprised me the most while writing the book was the clear connection to the Joe Biden White House. Every single one of these cases had all six of them. Tish James, for example, in the case we're talking about today, was making regular White House visits. And the fact that she was allowed to campaign for New York Attorney General on the promise of getting a political rival is clearly unconstitutional. And that was allowed and tolerated. And I can't believe that happened in our country, and we tolerated it. But since writing the book, I have a pleasant surprise for you guys. It feels like there's much more momentum, whether it be the great people that they got at the Department of Justice, the Ed Martins of the world. There seems to be much more of a hunger to investigate and hold people accountable. Since I closed work on the book, Jack Smith, the investigation to him was announced. And since the book was published, an investigation into Tish James was announced. And then we got this great news today. So there does seem to be a renewed effort to actually try to get accountability. I'm as cynical as the next guy, Charlie, that none of these people get held to account the way they should. But it does feel like there's a new energy in Washington now to finally do something about some of these bad guys who are operating under another tier of justice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Someone in the audience sent an email, freedom@charliekirk.com. They went a step further. They said, Charlie, when are these people going to be disbarred or penalized for abusing their law licenses? I mean, is there anything that we can do? I mean, what they've put President Trump through, is there any accountability, what they have done to President Donald Trump?
The test case is Tish James, because she was so flagrant that, remember, she was tweeting out what Trump owed each day just to poke the bear some more, to gloat because of the interest rates that were going up. By the way, Trump should have been making money off of that $175 million that was up on bond. He could have invested that in gold, Charlie. He would have had a return on that investment. Trump is owed interest. This is really important. Trump should be paid interest on all the money he had put up on bond that was just sitting there for a year and a half.
That's right.
He's got to collect on that. But Tish James is the test case. She should absolutely be disbarred. She should probably go to prison. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know for sure, but that would be something that should be in the realm of possibilities. There's no way she should be allowed to practice law at all in this country after this. And the mortgage fraud stuff, which is very legitimate, that's going on, that she's also getting investigated for that. So she's the test case. If they get her, then a lot of dominoes could fall afterwards.
Well, and time out. We got to take a step back, everybody. It's not just Trump. Tish James was the heat-seeking missile that took out the National Rifle Association.
Yes, that's right.
She's a very dangerous, she's a very treacherous, she's a very, very good operator. She's not like Fannie Willis, who's just a clown court jester who's going to be an MSNBC contributor next month.
Great point.
No, Letitia James, she's a navigator. You see, she's a vicious actor in this space. And she's the dark triad. She's completely nihilistic, she's angry, and she's very talented. You do not want those three things together. She's an angry operator, but I'm not going to. I don't want to get too far. I don't know if she's intellectual.
No, this is important, and it's in the book. I cover all this stuff as well.
She's effective. Alex Marlow, please. The NRA thing you can't forget. Alex Marlow.
No, she is not to be underestimated. She's also got incredible amounts of time on her hands. This is her mission from God, in her view, is that she feels like she's put on this earth to take out Donald Trump, as sick as that sounds. But that's what she feels like she's here to do. And before that, it was the NRA and other conservative targets. She is one of the most political operators in the entire lawfare superstructure, which is why I call her the test case. She's the one that is the most flagrant, the most obvious that she is politicizing her perch in our system of justice in this country. There is the law and order apparatus. Our system, our judicial system, is purely a tool of Democrat power if she is allowed to continue to operate in this space. She should not be, after what we've witnessed. And this clear rebuke that she's issuing cruel and unusual punishments in the middle of an election of the standard bearer of the opposite political party, that's all you need to know about who she is. But the more you dig, the scarier it gets. And she will continue to do this unless she's held accountable.
Yeah, and that's right. Again, I hope that there's some vector here. The mortgage fraud thing seems very legitimate. I don't quite understand all the details of it. Was she just like using some?
But it's her area of expertise. Banks? She busted Trump for the same stuff. She knows
right.
this stuff.
And look, 100%. And look, some people say, well, Charlie, we should be better. We should rise above it. Let me tell you, you know what rising above it actually looks like? It looks like that you cannot allow to just continue to go after this without any sort of recourse. You need to make an example out of Letitia James. Tish James needs to completely be made an example. You know why? Because she tried to make an example of the National Rifle Association and also Project Veritas with James O'Keefe. Anyone that was within the New York turf, she sent out her little shock troops all the way after them. She sent her goons after Trump, after James O'Keefe. She sent her goons after the National Rifle Association. The NRA today is not the NRA of 10 years ago, which, by the way, is a very powerful political thing. They still exist, obviously, but they've been completely castrated because of Tish James. Like 95% decrease in efficacy because of Tish James's her deceit, her treachery, and quite honestly, her dark spirit that she represents. She thinks like a KGB agent. She needs to go to jail. Tish James needs to go to jail. Alex Marlow, Breaking the Law, thank you so much. Great work.
Love it, Charlie. Great additions, and appreciate you as always.
Phenomenal. Once a week, Alex Marlow. We're going to keep to that. He's a great friend, really good person.